Into yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show. Let's jump right into it. The Pheonix Suns general manager had a lot to say, but also without saying pretty much anything at all. Let's talk about it next.
The Ben Garcia Show. Yeah. Best show in LA. Yup. Listen. Come and get your information from Ben Garcia. Get the latest on your quarterback, running backs, and receivers. Tune in, so any other show you don't need them. Any news that he giving out, please just believe him. Giving out the latest prediction and top-notch analysis. Wanna hear the truth, better have thick skin like calluses. The latest move that your team just made can be damaging. The dudes ain't speaking no facts, they just be rambling. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. Yeah. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. The Ben Garcia Show.
What is up? Welcome into yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show. Appreciate you guys making me a part of your day. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, potentially even tell a friend about the Ben Garcia Show. Also follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. Interact with me over there. Would love to be able to take a chance to be able to talk with you guys, meet with you guys, say what's up over social media. So with that being said, there was a horrific press conference that took place yesterday, and I'm not exactly where to start. I have a couple of clips that I'm going to play for you guys, but let me set the scene for you a little bit. Yesterday, the Pheonix Suns' new general manager, Brian Gregory, whose name I continue to forget each and every time I think about it, and it's because, well, he's kind of a forgettable guy. It's not, I guess that's a little too harsh, but ultimately at the end of the day, this is someone who didn't have much of a presence, kind of a smaller dude, didn't necessarily wow you with his ability to public speak, and the first thing you're really thinking is, oh my goodness, how is this guy going to talk in any trade when it comes with Danny Ainge or Brad Stevens or Tim Connolly, one of those guys who would come to you and have a worry about what the Pheonix Suns want or need in a trade. It would really worry me, him going ahead and handling that business for the Pheonix Suns. But that's neither here nor there. I get there at the press conference yesterday. I did want to get an instant reaction for you guys yesterday, and I filmed one, and I didn't put it up because I felt like this was much more fitting for how the press conference went. I was so scatterbrained after the press conference because nothing really got answered. He danced around the question. He praised Ishbia, endlessly praised Ishbia, and it was just not a great scene to be a part of yesterday. So I wanted to take the time to be able to dissect the entirety of the interview with you guys. And it started off like this. He talked about his qualifications for the job, which in the beginning of the press conference, him in his opening statement, what they'll do is in big press conferences like that, the owner, coach, general manager, whoever it is, will go up there and say a statement, say everything that's on their mind, and then they'll answer some questions. And what he did was he talked about Ishbia bringing change, and there's only one way to bring it. And the first thing that came to my mind was, you cannot be change if you were literally here last year, the last 2 years. Your only qualifications are two of the most disappointing years in Suns history. And that makes you qualified? He also talked about his 30 years of basketball experience. Listen, I don't mean to go after anyone in this sense, but you can have 30 years of anything and not be great at what you do. You could just be mediocre. And Brian Gregory seems like the definition of a mediocre guy. So without further ado, here's Brian Gregory yesterday being asked about his qualifications, and then we'll react to it. I think it was Gerald Bourguet of Pheonix Suns. He asked Brian Gregory, well, some people are kind of worried about your qualifications. Where do you stand on that? And how do you help assure those people? And what are your expertise in? including in a job like this where you're going to need it?
As I said, 30 years of basketball experience, 30 plus years of basketball experience, the last 2 being here in Phoenix. The knowledge and experience, I think, puts me in a good position to be successful in this role. But I think the thing that's going to separate me and give me the opportunity to be very successful and make a positive impact is my focus on building that identity and creating that alignment that Matt talked about a couple weeks ago.
Did you feel like he was more qualified now? Did you feel better about his qualifications? Touting 30 years of basketball experience, great. You were a head coach and a subpar head coach, if we're putting it kindly. A barely over 500 head coach. Sure, you won 300 games in college basketball. That's not nothing. The issue is it mostly came against Panera Bread State and McDonald's University. I mean, it was bad. Qualifications made you feel worse. His ability to talk made you feel worse. Again, it all came back to him talking about over and over and over and over again of his 30 basketball years of experience. And you saw in that clip, he tried to find other things to say and literally never could. He rambled on and then just talked about nothing most of the time when it came to his experience, his qualifications, and everything in between when it comes to him being the new general manager. And everyone has every right to feel the way they feel right now. I'll get to, at the very end, the one positive thing about his press conference, but it didn't just stop there. One of the things why Brian Gregory got this job, and you could either see it one or two ways. You could appreciate the fact that he's being truthful, or you can really be frustrated at the fact that you and I weren't wrong. There was a lot of talk about Mat Ishbia yesterday. A ton of talk about Mat Ishbia yesterday. And people flat out asked him, Are you the new general manager? Why do you have this job? Who's in charge? When I say, are you the new general manager, people are more so like alluding to who's actually calling the shots. And do you understand that a lot of people think you wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for Mat Ishbia? And instead of leaning away and leaning on your qualifications and saying, well, yes, my relationship with Matt is strong, but I got this job for a bunch of other reasons, mainly my communication skills, my public speaking, my ability to command a room, all those things he could have said. Instead, he said what everyone else was already thinking. You know how we make fun of Nepo babies on this show? And most of it is because I work my ass off for you guys. And at times I get passed up, and most of the time it's because someone is the nephew of someone high ranking in that company. That happens 95% of the time in this business if you don't get a job. Someone's uncle got them that job. And that's why it triggered me here, because here's Brian Gregory talking about how he got the job and a little bit more of Mat Ishbia. Here you go.
One thing I will say is this: I'm never going to shy away from the fact that one of the reasons I'm sitting up here is because of my relationship with Mat Ishbia. But that relationship is founded on that alignment. Shared values, shared work ethic. We've been through a lot together, and he trusts me and I trust him.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. He couldn't come up with a third thing. He went up there and scrambled off two things that him and Ishbia are aligned in, which was the word of the day yesterday, and couldn't come up with a third thing. He dug a hole and couldn't get himself out of it. It was embarrassing if you're a Suns fan. It was embarrassing if you're Brian Gregory to sit up there and admit that you got the job strictly because you're fraternity brothers with the owner. Fraternity brothers, obviously a little bit tongue-in-cheek, obviously the assistant coach, but that's what it feels like. It feels like everyone is just reliving the glory days at the Michigan State Spartans University. He sat up there and said the quiet part out loud. Yeah, I have this job because of Mat Ishbia. Screw you. I would double bird the camera right now if YouTube would allow it. But they don't. At least I don't think. And so at this point, Mat Ishbia gave the job to Brian Gregory, likely didn't do any research for anyone else outside of Bob Myers until Bob Myers said, "You want control? Yeah, I'm good, man." This was an embarrassing moment. When he said that, I looked over to my co-host, Brendan Clean of Locked On Suns, and my head immediately shot up and turned to him. And my first thoughts was, there's no way he just said that. There's no way he just said that. And then he thought he was on a roll after naming two things him and Mat Ishbia have in common. And he couldn't name a third one. I mean, come on. I can't be the only one that thinks that's hilarious. He went up there and said, alignment, whatever, identity, and no, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all the reason why me and Mat Ishbia are doing this job together. He also mentioned that Mat Ishbia is very hands-on and that he likes that. So let's get to that moment here.
Matt and I are a team. We are completely aligned. As the general manager, my job and my responsibility is to oversee the day-to-day operations of us basketball-wise. I report to Mat Ishbia. Matt is an owner that is involved, and I like that. But he has also empowered me to build this team and to build the identity and to build the alignment that is so important.
You could see him go through that answer, realize it was god-awful, go through the PR training in his head, realize it was god-awful, and then eventually he just talks in circles. Guys, this media availability went on for 45 minutes. To make it more clear how long that is, Mat Ishbia spoke for 18 minutes last time. Bartelstein and James Jones went up there together 2 weeks ago, spoke for a combined 10 minutes. This guy could not stop rambling and didn't know what the hell he was talking about. They literally said throughout the words alignment and identity 100,000 times in a row, and people will just probably respect you. We really hope. And then here is potentially the worst part of the press conference yesterday. Mat Ishbia, obviously, now that we know he's a clear part of this organization, and before I get to that last clip, him mentioning that Ishbia is really hands-on and he likes that, he's lying to you. 29 of the 30 other general managers in the NBA would all say, God, I don't want my owner meddling in my business. Just sign the checks, bro. That's what every other owner would want. But that's not the case. And here was the most aggravating part about the Suns press conference yesterday. We already talked about Josh Bartelstein not being a part of the Suns organization anymore, or at least that's what's reported until now.
I am responsible and accountable for the daily decisions, day in and day out, regarding basketball. Josh is our CEO, all right? He's involved in every aspect of basketball operations, every single aspect of basketball operations. Josh and I have an unbelievable partnership. When you talk guys working together and getting things done, we're right there.
Josh Bartelstein, not only was he saying he's a part of the day-to-day basketball operations, but he wore it like a badge of honor. He wore it like a badge of honor yesterday. And then continued to tout Josh Bartelstein's qualifications. Oh, he's got great relationships. Dude, read the room, buddy, just once. And then he continued down that rabbit hole of, and if you think we don't work well together, think about it. He's a Spartan, I'm a Wolverine. Guys, it was a horrendous press conference yesterday. Nothing good came of it. I don't know how anyone can feel great about what they saw yesterday. And so with that being said, we've went through it. Let's digest it. Let's get to it tomorrow more on the Ben Garcia Show. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Have to bow out a little bit early here today, guys. Got a meeting for a job tomorrow. and appreciate you guys making me a part of your day. Until then, I'm Benjamin Garcia, and let's weigh on it, and we'll talk about it more tomorrow on a new edition of The Ben Garcia Show.